Hello, this is Mrs. Ramirez, and we are doing Module 1, Lesson 25, Fraction as a Percent. Make sure you have your worksheet, make sure you have your first name, full last name, and period number written, and we're going to do a few of the examples. So, I am going to let you guys do this example on your own after we do a couple of the examples together. So do on your own with your team, something like that would be awesome. So let's flip the page to example 2. And we've got focusing things going on, but you also have the sheet in front of you. And it says, the survey was taken that asked participants whether or not they were happy with their job. An overall score was given. 300 of the participants were unhappy, while 700 of the participants were happy with their job. Give a part to whole fraction for comparing happy participants to the whole. Remember that part to whole is the only way we can get a percent. Percentage has to be a part to whole ratio. So then we're going to write the part to whole fractions as a percent. So the whole, we didn't get the whole, they didn't give it to us, so we have to add it together. I see 300 were unhappy, while 700 were happy. So I have 300 plus 700, and that is 1,000 total. So as a fraction, 1,000 total people surveyed, and that was both one unhappy as well as happy. And we have unhappy. Oh, they flipped it on us, didn't they? 700 were happy. So 700 out of 1,000 were happy. 300 were unhappy. 300 were unhappy. We remember that percentage means out of 100 with the chance. So what happens when I have 1,000 here? Well, I'm going to have to reduce it. In the book, they end up saying cross-canceling sometimes. Remember, Mrs. Ramirez just likes a little better for it to have dividing by a giant one of 10, which does get rid of those zeros there. So now I have a percentage out of 100 because it doesn't work to have 700% because that would be more than a whole. So instead of, since I divided by 10, I now have 70 out of 100, and we all know that that is 70%. Now, if it has to be 100, the whole thing has to equal 100. So therefore, I'm going to think that this is probably going to be 30%, but let's divide it with our giant 1. And therefore, yep, 30%. There is 100% total. We always, in a situation like that, need to find 100% total. Create a model to justify your answer. Well, if we have, I could reduce it again to 7 out of 10 and 3 out of 10. So happy and unhappy. Our model can be, if I have 10 total, we could do a top box plot, or a box tape diagram, that's what's called. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more to get me 10. I'm going to make unhappy, sad faces, and happy faces. So we're going to have 7 happy faces, 3 unhappy, but it needs to equal all 10 because we reduced. Whoops, that's a 10. Anyway, okay, another model to justify your answer. If you have 7 to 10, I could have a circle, about 70% of it, about 30% would be about there. So 30% and 70%. Okay, and let's go to exercise 1. Renata claims that a score of 80% means she answered 4/5 of the problems correctly. She drew the following picture to support her claim. So, is she correct? Well, I know 80% is 80 out of 100, always, and 4/5. So, my question is, how many boxes are across? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, there's 20 boxes. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Okay, there's 100 total boxes. And 2, 4, 6, 80 of them are shaded. So 80 shaded, 4/5. But if I look at just the rows, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 are shaded and 1 unshaded, but a total of 5 total boxes. Is she correct? Yes, she is correct. Our reasoning why is showing right up there. 4 is shaded, 5 is total, 4/5 equals 80% if I multiply by a giant one of 20. How could you change Renata's picture to make it easier for Renata to see she is correct or incorrect? How could I make it simpler? She showed the 80% well. She showed the 4/5% well, or 4/5 fraction well. Maybe take away all the columns, maybe, but it did show the 80% and other well. So that is what we're working on together. Check out exercise 2. I need you and your team to work on lesson 25, exercise 2, working together. I see a double number line. 80% of the whole quantity. Work through exercise 2 with team. Go ahead, flip the next page. Exercise 3 and 4, you're going to also do with team. And with team. Now, exercise 5 is the one I want you to show me as well. So this is fine with your team. And sorry about the focusing thing. I am working to see if I can get this better. With your team, I do want to add that other section that says decimal word form. You are going to show Mrs. Ramirez this completed table at a time in class that Mrs. Ramirez is going to ask for it. Let's look at this 84.5%. Percentage means out of 100, so therefore if I just cover up the 0.5%, I would have that as a decimal of 84 hundredths. However, this 0.5% is less than 1/100ths. Therefore, since percentage is out of 100, that means that it's actually half of the next, which this part shows up in the thousandths place. I see this here too. Therefore, the fraction is going to be 845 over 1,000. My decimal word form is going to be 800. You could kind of do a short word form. 845 thousandths, THOUSANDTHS, spelled correctly, Mrs. Ramirez. So, with that, once you are finished with all of these, Mrs. Ramirez is definitely going to look at this and before the end of the period. Thank you so much and happy learning. Bye.